Good day, gamers. What's going on? The name is AK, owner of Extreme Azure Productions. I'm here again to bring you yet another X-Talk video presentation. Now, this video is going to be a bit different because if you're a regular viewer, and you're awesome if you are, but if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that the majority of the videos that I do are all centered around Nintendo, the world of Nintendo. So it is weird for me to be talking about something else, but this really affects gaming as a whole. Now, even though I own a Nintendo system and Nintendo systems, and I primarily game on them, I still have a respect for all of gaming. So although I love Nintendo, I still have a respect for all of gaming. I'm not what could be considered a fanboy. I just love games in general. I don't care what platform it is. I just love games. So that's why I feel obligated to talk about this, because what's happening right now does not affect just Sony. As the title suggests, I'm going to be talking about their alleged new system, but this affects the whole gaming industry. So yeah, what I want to talk about is the PlayStation 4 Neo. Now, I'm sure you've heard the rumors by now. The PlayStation 4 Neo is going to be an upgraded PlayStation 4 console. It's going to have upgraded specs, so developers will be able to gain access to a whole lot more horsepower. And yeah, that's good, that's great, yeah, whatever. But it's only been 2 years and a few months since the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were released. And it's been 3 years since the Wii U has been released. So this generation is still incredibly young. We're only hitting the midway point. And yet here we are talking about new systems. And notice I said new systems. I'm also referring to the Nintendo NX. And even Microsoft is in the process of creating a brand new console, which is set to be released sometime soon. So yeah, we're in the midway point of the 8th generation, and yet here we are talking about new systems already. Nothing like this has really happened before in the home console market. So this is completely new. And the reason why I think this is happening is because not only is this generation weird, but last generation was also very weird. The Xbox 360 came out in 2005. The PS3 and Wii came out in 2006. So the PS3 and the Wii, it took them 6 years to be replaced. And the Xbox 360 took 7 years to be replaced because it came out a year earlier. So that generation lasted a little longer than it should have. It started in 2012 with the Wii U. Yes, the Wii U is an 8th generation system, going by the proper definition of a generation. Yes, it started in 2012 with the Wii U, and then it continued on in 2013 with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now it is only 2016. Like I said, the Wii just turned 3 years old back in November, and the Xbox One and PS4 turned 2 years old back in November as well. So this generation is so young, and yet here we are talking about new systems from all three of the companies. But as it relates primarily to Sony, this is going to not be a completely new system, but just an upgraded version of what they already have. So this is significant because, like I said, nothing like this has ever happened before. And it's significant because it shows that there is a major problem with this generation, and that is caused by what happened with the last generation. I already said the last generation lasted much longer than it should have. The average console generation is about 5, sometimes 6 years. But last generation really took it a step further by going for up to 7 years and 8 if you consider the beginning of the generation to be with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. So it really has been quite a long time for those systems to be replaced. And now here we have these systems, and the thing is, not only did these systems come late, but they came late and their hardware in them was not good enough. Because think about it. If the power in the PlayStation 4 is the most powerful console ever created. So if the power in the PlayStation 4 was enough, then why on earth would we even be talking about the PlayStation 4 Neo? Why would there be so many reports about it? Why would it even exist? Well, allegedly exist. If the original PlayStation 4 had enough power. Because the PlayStation 4 that we currently have is a pretty decent machine. As we see with titles like The Order 1886, Uncharted 4, Killzone, Shadowfall, Ratchet & Clank, it's capable of producing some really beautiful games. So why then is the PlayStation 4 Neo even coming into the discussion? Well, because these systems, like I said, came too late. This generation, the current generation, should have began in 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. So we are literally off balance right now. This generation came 2 years later than it should have, or at least a year later than it should have, and that has offset everything. And that's why these companies are now bringing out these brand new systems: PS4 Neo, Nintendo NX, and the alleged next Xbox. So this really, it's a weird situation that, like I said, has never really happened before. A mid-generation transition. The closest thing to this is how Sega used to pump out new systems and add-ons to old systems regularly. That's the closest thing, and we saw how that turned out. So yeah, this generation is just botched, to be honest with you. So like I said, we're a generation late. If the 7th generation lasted as long as it should have, then the 8th generation should have begun, like I said, in 2010 and 2011. And now, since it's now 2016, that would have given roughly 5-6 years. So now we should be getting news of new systems. It would have been normal, except the fact that the current systems that we have only came out 2-3 years ago. So you see, we're off balance. And the reason why this is happening is because, like I said, the hardware in these consoles are just not enough. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are the closest consoles to PCs. And PC technology has superseded consoles a little while ago. Before, consoles have always pretty much been top of the line. And when the PS3 and 360 came out, those were bleeding edge technology. They were capable of some really great things that most other machines could not do at the time. Of course, as time went on, PC technology got more and more advanced. They were eventually taken over, which as you would expect it to be. When the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, there were already systems that were on par with them, if not already more so than them. And so now developers have been having to scale back their games. That's why we've seen so many downgrades, for instance. They've had to scale back their games in order to be able to run on these systems. Like, for instance, we see Star Wars Battlefield. That runs 900p on PS4 and 720p on the Xbox One. And these are consoles that were supposed to be 1080p 60 frames ready. I hate talking about resolution and frame rate. Frame rate is really the most important, but I hate talking about the technical specifications because that's what games seems to be most interested in right now. So yeah, these consoles are not able to fully keep up with the visions of these developers, which is why we're seeing these upgraded or completely new systems coming out so early, because these consoles are simply just not powerful enough. And because of the way that they were made with the x86 architecture, developers can now get down into these systems a whole lot easier than they would have in the past. Because before, consoles tended to get better with age. You look at launch games versus games towards the end of their lifetimes, there was a big difference. They always looked better the more time that passed. But now we're seeing that developers are already running into roadblocks and limits with these systems, despite the fact that they've only been out for 2 years and 3 years in the Wii U's case. So yeah, it really isn't a good situation to be in. Well, the Wii U is actually a little bit different because the Wii U does use PowerPC architecture, and we have seen a little bit of an improvement, but at the same time, it was still released with underpowered specs. Even though beautiful games are on it, modern day gaming engines simply just cannot run on the Wii U in the same way that they can run on its rival systems. So yeah, either way you look at it, all three of these consoles have ran into roadblocks much earlier than they should have, and that's why we see these companies now scrambling to create brand new systems. Otherwise, we would not be talking about the NX, the PlayStation 4 Neo, and the possible next Xbox now. It's far too early. And that just shows that this generation definitely has a problem. So I'm just going to wrap up the video here, but I just wanted to share my thoughts about this. I really don't know how successful this whole thing is going to be. I've already given my thoughts about the NX, but as it relates to the PlayStation 4 Neo, because it's supposed to be an upgraded version, I can only hope that Sony finds success with this like Nintendo has with the new 3DS. That's probably the closest thing to compare it to. This is definitely an incremental upgrade, just like you have with the Apple iPhones. You'd have the 5 and then the 5S and then the 6 and then the 6S. So this is just like a PlayStation 4S basically, or like how the new 3DS. So this is a new PlayStation 4. So it's just a very weird, messed up situation. This generation is just so weird. As I said before in my last video, this E3 is going to be very interesting, not just for Nintendo, but for all the gaming companies, because there's just so much mystery and speculation and rumors coming out now. It's wow. E3 is close, people. April is almost finished. We're getting into May. E3 is a little over 1 month away from now. It's going to be one hell of a ride. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.